Joining us via Skype is an emotional intelligence specialist, Abiola Chamsalami. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, talk to us from your point of view. Why is this pandemic creating so much anxiety in the minds of a lot of persons, not just Nigerians? Because we see that there has been a spike in the rise of, there has been a spike in issues like mental health and anxiety, as well as fear.
Yes. So the natural instinct of every human being is to survive and thrive. And the moment there's anything coming as a threat to that, the mindset people start to have anxious thoughts, and people start to have mental health issues. Even the WHO has said it that as we are paying attention to looking for vaccine or whatever it is to resolve coronavirus crisis in terms of the health consequence, the physical health consequence, equally important is paying attention to our emotional and mental health. Because none of us is smart. I always say that. We're all as smart as the information that we allow to enter into our minds. And so as people keep watching the news, keep hearing about the increase in fatality rate and also increase in the number of people that are being tested, there's that fear, there's that apprehension, that continues to develop till this subsides. So it's a natural thing. However, as much as it is natural for humans to respond to any news that threatens their survival, there are certain things that we need to do to ensure that we don't die before death comes.
So talk to us now, what are those things? Is it possible for persons to shield their minds from all of those things that could make them more fearful, anxious, and perhaps suicidal?
Yeah, there are a few things that we can do in shielding the mind. When something like this happens, we have the tendency to overlook any other thing and every other thing happening in our lives, and we'll just focus on that one thing that is not working, that one thing that is popular in the news, that one thing everybody's talking about, that one reason we're all in isolation right now. But one of the things that we can do to help our minds to calm down is to practice gratitude. Now, wherever you are watching me right now, there's something to be grateful for. So you're probably in isolation, and before you went for isolation, you went to buy stuff. There was panic buying. There is panic buying because people have the capacity to buy things. That you have the capacity, that you have the financial capacity to buy stuff to stock your house, to make sure that you are not hungry and your children are not hungry. It's something to be grateful for. Some people don't even have the money. Some have the money, they don't have access to the food. But you have money, you have access to the food, is something to be grateful for. In fact, if you have power and you have the internet, maybe you are watching us through internet right now, or if you have power and you have internet to even have access to this conversation we're having right now, it's something to be grateful for. Why? There are millions of people who don't have access to this, to even listen to someone, try to encourage them to calm down, to have their mind in the proper place, to have strategies and things that they can do and use to ensure that their mind is calm during this period. Being grateful is very important, and many researchers, many people have conducted research on the relationship between appreciation, being grateful for the little that you have, and and managing anxiety. Anxiety, fear, and all of that comes into play to show us that we have zero hope, especially at this time. But the moment we are grateful about some of these things, gratitude increases our mental strength. Like I said, that many research has shown that gratitude doesn't only reduce stress, but it also has a major role to play in overcoming trauma and overcoming anxiety. Gratitude is very important. So as you're watching, please look around you. There are things to be grateful for. The moment you are grateful, it brings in positive energy and starts to push away the negativity that coronavirus has built into our minds over the past couple of weeks. Gratitude is key. Another thing that is important is practicing self-care, which is taking care of ourselves. When we're in this kind of situations, people will forget every other thing and they sit down watching the news alone. Now, it is good to watch the news. It is good to get information from verified sources. But equally important is at this time that you take care of yourself. So eat well, which is very important. Eat well. Eat well, exercise well. And by exercise, you don't necessarily need to get on your street to start running up and down. You can do some little bits of workout even within your house. so that when the coronavirus, when this quarantine, the isolation period is over, you wouldn't have grown pot belly when you didn't have pot belly before. Then you will still be in shape to do the things that you are supposed to do. Gratitude is important. Practicing self-care is important. Another third thing that is important is keeping a flexible routine. You see, before we went on isolation, there is a way we all work. So we wake up at a particular time. For those with children, you drop your children, you prepare them for school, then you drop them in school, then you proceed to work, and we do all of that. There is the tendency that because we are not going to work right now, for people to forget that and sleep all day and change their routine. The danger with that is in a few weeks' time, when we resume normal life, it will be difficult for the individual to adjust to the normal person that you were. It may take a lot of time. So still wake up the time you wake up, take your bath the time you take your bath, find something to read, and even this time is a time that you can maximize. You can maximize this moment to develop yourself. There are many free courses online that you can take. Some people you can use it to develop a new hobby. Some people you can use it to develop a new skill. I mean, as a man of the house, for example, you've not had time to play with your children. It's a good time to play with them. It's a good time to teach them things that you probably didn't have time to teach them. Even as the man as well, it's time to learn how to cook. You can do that, learn how to cook. You and your wife, put yourself in the room. Put yourself in the kitchen, learn a few things. Just have a great time this moment. As we need to have a great time this moment, it pushes away tendency for anxiety, for fear, for us to have any mental health sickness.
All right, Abiola Chamsalami, thank you so much for speaking to us on TVC Breakfast. Now, if one looks at the recommendations being given by experts for this time, talking about focusing on the positives, a lot of persons will say that that isn't practicable, looking at the conditions around them. Perhaps looking at perhaps they have a violent spouse or partner, and perhaps they have the environment is not basically conducive for them. How then do you focus on the positives?
Okay, so what to do is to reframe. The concept is called reframe. And let me quickly say that we have just a few seconds to do this, and there's a free ebook to get everything people need to get on abiolachamps.com. So reframing is a technique that you can use to look at your situation differently so that you can apply yourself differently. So now there is a violent spouse, and then you don't have to stay in the same room, for example. You can choose to stay in another place. We're listening to news that is not encouraging because of the scourge of coronavirus. Then we're all at home. So we can take the mandated work from home policy as an opportunity to refocus attention from the hustle and bustle of the city, which is a normal thing that we are used to paying attention to ourselves and even to the home and even to that spouse, even the person that has violent tendencies. At times, some people, the reason they behave that way is because they think the other person doesn't understand them. So this period is a time to even seek to try to understand this individual. I don't believe anybody is really, really totally bad or totally good. I mean, because as the poet Elashala Wolfak said that the good people are half bad and the bad people are half good. But seeking to understand people, which is empathy, will help us to even know where this person is coming from. Maybe the other person is not listening to this violent person. Maybe the person just needs a little bit more of attention and care. This period presents us an opportunity to get to know even our people better. But the other thing that we should also pay attention to in this period is practicing compassion. Practicing compassion. I believe that no matter your religion, the hallmark of our faith is your humanity, which is seeking ways to help other people in a way, is the way of extending God's love to every human being. It is also good citizenship, as we have seen many people and organizations that are doing and living up in this crisis. When in the throes of negative emotions, think about showing compassion. Maybe like calling one of your friends, sending a message to an elderly person that we know could be really affected this period. If you can't, send in money, send in food items, send in things to people, checking on people just to be sure that they are fine. When you show compassion, even when you experience negative emotions, it helps you to balance your mind. It helps you to stabilize your emotions rather than still feeling anxious, still being panicked, still being fearful, and all the sorts of negative emotions that it's possible for people to face this time. So it is essential pay attention to our mental and emotional health, that will practice this thing. Reframe. Think about the situation differently and look at what you can do. Show compassion. Then the other one is practice relaxation. See, there's some of us that we don't have the mental strength to keep receiving negative news again and again. It spoils your mood. It can lead you to even violent tendencies as an individual. So leave the place where you're getting this negative news into your system, and such that you can listen to music, you can dance, you can enjoy yourself. Just want to ensure that you don't fill your mind with as much negativity that is going around, and you don't even also multiply it in mind as well. And that is one sure way to deal with mental and emotional health this period. Like I said earlier, there's a whole bundle of work that is being done that you can read online and read stuff. There's free ebook to download online. Go to abiolachamp.com, and there are many resources online that you can get. But the most important thing, people, is let us find our mind. Let us pay attention to the information we're allowing to go into our mind right now. The scourge of coronavirus will be over soon. When it is over, what kind of life will we be living?
Okay, one quick thing I'd like to also drop here is the fact that being intentional, as it is said by some experts, about social connection is said to be very key at this time because of the talks about social distancing. Talk to us how to apply this for persons who may not know about this, and how critical is this part?
Okay, the great thing is that technology has made all of us connected together. So with technology, we can still maintain social connections. So you can call some people on the phone. You can use your WhatsApp to call and even to do video call to see people, to see your friends, your colleagues, your relatives all across the globe. For example, later on today, I will be on Skype with a friend from Washington, D.C., where we'll be sharing tips with people. And people can log in. So there is WhatsApp, there is Google Hangout. There are many other platforms where you can use to connect with people. And in as much as we are saying connect with people to still maintain social relationship, we should ensure that we are not broadcasting fake news and news that will get people more anxious here and there. You are using this technology to still stay connected with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues, with people. You can't afford to just be in isolation. We still need to stay connected, and technology offers us the opportunity to stay connected.
All right, Abiola Chamsalami, thank you for speaking with us on TVC Breakfast. We see government putting so much effort at curtailing the spread of coronavirus, but emotional experts or psychologists are saying that there are concerns with regards to the mental challenges this is stirring up at this time, and that governments need to begin to look into how to deal with this because there might be a crisis on our hands afterwards, after this pandemic is over. How concerning is this for you?
So this is real. It's real because there is coronavirus, and there is the news about coronavirus. The coronavirus is a health challenge. The news and the conversations, the fears, the anxieties, the panic about it is another serious issue to deal with. Even when we curb the spread of the virus, there is equally important is putting enough resources into quelling the impact of the news, of the conversations, the fear and anxiety people have. Because even when the quarantine, isolation, lockdown, when everything is over, people will get back to work and people will want to get back to normal life. And life may not be normal again. Why? Because of the fear, the apprehension, the panic that people have developed over time because of this. So it is equally important to seek out resources to help people pay attention to their mind so that we don't have another pandemic that will be mental in our hands to deal with.
Abiola, we have to leave it at this point because of the network challenges we're having at this time, but thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
All right, we're still looking at the level of compliance day 2, and our colleague that has been out, Mike Okwache, is here in the studio to talk to me about what he saw while moving around Lagos. Mike, welcome back to the studio.
Well, it's good to be back in the studio again. But the point there is, going round town to
Yeah.
meet people, listen to what they're saying, it makes it more real sometimes than talking about what is going on.
Absolutely.
Now, I was at Bega earlier on, and then I went to Ogba. Now, in Ogba, I met a lady who said that in Lagos, because Lagos is a commercial city,
Yeah.
so they have no choice. In fact, she is traveling to Ibadan with the whole of her family. What does she want to go and do in Ibadan? Agriculture. She said at least they can go there and farm for the next 2 weeks and see what they can make of their lives. Because if Lagos is shut down and then they live based on what they sell here, then they cannot survive in Lagos while the shutdown is on. So they're leaving for Ibadan. But I was asking, how would you get vehicle to Ibadan? He said somehow. It's the Nigerian thing. That was what she said. Now, I went to Agege and then I met some other young persons who were saying that it's obvious they cannot cope with this 2 weeks lockdown. But I told them it is for your good. Have you heard of the coronavirus? They have a fair knowledge of what is going on, but the specifics they may not know, because when I engage with them, they talk about hand sanitizers. Do you have your hand sanitizer? They say, well, I left it at home. How do you leave your hand sanitizer at home? You know, so that's the reality. And then I was at the airport. Everything is shut down. In fact, airlines in Nigeria had announced suspension of services since Friday, before the presidential order that kicked off yesterday. So it's from place to place and all of that. That's how it has been. And then one other thing is security agencies, they are really very up to their task this morning. At intervals, you see, checkpoints here and there preventing people from going. In fact, they turn people back, and then except you have any evidence of the fact
Were there any arrests made?
Well, at Bega, yeah, there were some. They were impounding. I think they impounded about 2 cars. At the time I went to Bega. At the time.
So
that's
two things that this brings up, that this brings to mind, is the fact that the level of awareness and the level of preparedness. I mean, why would you be traveling at this time knowing that there is a lockdown and then
desperation?
The level of awareness
is a lot of desperation because people have to survive. They were, in fact, most of the people I spoke with, they were talking about the issue of survival. How do we survive?
But Lagos State government talked about feeding about 200,000 families.
Good point. Someone in Agege I spoke with said they saw some persons carrying those bags from Lagos State, about just 2 or 3 persons carrying it around. And they were asking, is it just somebody carrying the bags around, or there's a vehicle that is supposed to come, distribute it house to house, or street by street and all of that? So that was all they saw. So the balance between what the government said and what the people want is something else. Although Lagos State is still trying, because they said they are going to give out about 200,000. They made provision for about 200,000 in the first phase, and then they're going to continue that way. So that's what everyone is waiting for.
It means we can only hope that it gets to the right persons.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mike, for bringing us up to speed.
Thank you.
Thank you.